Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. All right, for Met fans, all smiles this evening and a very pleasant trip back to the metropolitan area after they get everything they needed in a matter of fact, for the most part, 7-3 victory over the Dodgers. We talked about it last night. The Dodgers are a bully team. They have a lot of talent. They have a lot of talent in the lineup. They have a lot of power. They have a lot of power arms. And they had put together an amazing streak. 23-0 over 3 games. Shutting down San Diego and just demolishing them over the last 2 games, and then beating the Mets 9-0 in game 1. We talked about how the Mets had to get off to a fast start today. Everybody talked about it. I saw Jeter talk about it. I saw A-Rod talk about it. Everybody talked about it. Mets have to get out of the box quick today. Don't let the Dodgers build on what they did yesterday, what they've done the last couple of games, and it couldn't have been any quicker than that. The Dodgers went with ordinary pitching in a bullpen game early, trying to save arms and see if they could steal one. And it backfired, no question. Lindor battles because the guy on the mound doesn't have put away stuff, and then hits a home run to start the game. So no longer shutout, no longer anything to worry about. Lead after 1 swing, and now the Mets have a lead. We know they got to 2-0 when they hung a curve to Taylor, and it's 2-0. And then after, again, fighting off pitches, he dares to throw a ball over the middle of the plate to Vientos, a fastball over the middle of the plate, which he deposits into the bleachers in right center field for a grand slam. And it's 6-0. And it looked like 6-0 was going to hold up. And then came the 6th inning. And all of a sudden, the Mets were in trouble. Why? Because the gloves let them down. Iglesias, who has played brilliantly in the field, mishandled a tricky hop, but he should have played it. Alonso didn't make a play he needed to play. And next thing you know, it's 6-3, and the incredibly clutch Kiki Hernandez is up. What happens? He hits into a double play. He doesn't have his moment of heroics there. The double play holds up to the scrutiny of replay at second, at first. They get out of the game at 6-3. And then it's Hernandez again with 2 on to Diaz, who's going to now get a 4-out save, gets him to pop to right field. Diaz decides to make it a little interesting in the 9th just to scare you a little bit, and then comes back striking out Betts and Teoscar and Freeman to end the game. And I tell you, Betts had a terrible game. Really. Ohtani looked bad on his at-bats against Manaea, and then he got a couple of walks. Betts looked awful. And when you look at the last night where the top 3 hitters had, 4 runs scored and 5 RBIs, I mean, that was a far cry from what went on this evening, as they kept things quiet at the top of the lineup, did a very good job in that regard, and head back to New York with a 1-1 game and a solidified series because they have pitching set up the way they want it. Listen, the Dodgers are going to be tough. It's now a 5-game series. It's going to be tough. There's nothing going to be easy about it. It's going to be a heck of a series. These are evenly matched teams. I don't think there's any question, but do not count the Dodgers, discount the Dodgers even for a second, because we know what they're capable of doing. And the Mets are going to have to earn it. Can they earn it? Absolutely, because this team has shown you time and again that no matter what happens, they will be resilient. And we talked about it last night. This is not typical Mets. It's no longer typical Mets. It's a team that shows resiliency and toughness and cohesiveness every single day. And it did again today in a spot where it needed to. It got out of the box quick. It had a 1-0 lead after 1. It had a 6-0 lead after 2. And although it got a little, a little dicey in the middle of the game, the Muncie homer and then 2 more runs in the sixth, and it's 6-3, and now they can bring the tying run to the plate a couple of times, and the Dodgers all can hit the ball out of the park. It didn't happen. Diaz did his job. Wound up throwing, I guess, around 28, 29 pitches off the top of my head, right around there. And the Mets come back to New York for a Wednesday game and come back at 1-1. And now it is a best of 5 to see who will play in the World Series. I can tell you, you can almost sense it. You can almost feel it in the Yankee crowd. You can almost feel it and hear it from the Yankee fans. There is a smugness. There is a complacency. I was talking about it to somebody today who's been at the ballpark for all the games, and I haven't been. Most years in the past, I've always been there. I haven't been there this year. I haven't been there for a playoff game yet. You can kind of sense it in the crowd, this idea that there is an expectation that, hey, we're going to the World Series. It's been a long, long time coming. The Yankees are better than Cleveland. They are a 2-1 favorite to win the series. They deserve to be a 2-1 favorite to win the series. They are a better team. They are a more explosive team. They are a deeper team. But one thing, in games where the Indians can get the lead after 5 innings, they think they can shut the game down. That's their strength. That's what they believe in. They're going to try and find a way to edge out in front. They're going to play often to get the lead in these games. It's not always going to work. Some nights the Yankee power is going to pound them. Some nights they're going to run into, their starter's not going to have it, and the ball's going to fly out of the ballpark. Maybe tonight, because the wind's evidently a big factor tonight. And it won't go well for them. But if it goes well enough for them a couple of times, all of a sudden, it puts enormous pressure on the Yankees. And the Yankees, I think, listen, they're the better team. There's no Houston. There's no Baltimore. I thought those were the 2 toughest matchups for the Yankees. I think Cleveland's a tougher matchup than Detroit would have been, because I just think Detroit wasn't ready for this. They had really one starter, and they just didn't have enough in the lineup to get the job done. But here's the one thing I think you have to guard against with the Yankees. They haven't been there in a long time. And should they face adversity in this series, I don't know how they'll handle it. Because the pressure will, if pressure starts to build on them and they have to play this series from behind, which I don't think they will, but if they should, it could be overbearing for them. Because while right now there is this feeling of complacency and almost like, hey, the Yanks are going to the series. Let's get ready to, I've had people call me up already and say, hey, listen, you want to go to this game? You want to go? I go, hey, you've already planned the World Series out? And you're hearing a lot of that. Now, the Yankees are the better team. There's hands down, they're the better team. The best team doesn't always win these series. And like I said, the one thing is the Yankees haven't been near a World Series in 15 years. That is an incredible long time. And for their franchise, it's an insanely long time. And while there is this smugness and this complacency right now, should there be adversity, it would turn into such an angst and such an anger so quickly that it would be wild, and it would put an inordinate amount of pressure on these players. So I think the Yankees will be fine as long as they play this series from in front, which, like I said, they're the better team. I don't think there's any question about it. I expect them to jump out and, be in a commanding position for most of the series. I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't a long series from a Yankee standpoint. But do understand that you have to, number one, pay attention to how many games the Indians won this year. And number two, pay attention to the fact that they do have a couple of guys in the lineup who are extremely dangerous, and they have a big time bullpen. And they have a deep bullpen, and they believe there's a mechanism for them to win games once they get to the sixth inning, that they can handle the last 12 outs of the game, which, as we talk about all the time, is so hard to do in the postseason. And it's very hard to do against a team like the Yankees because they can do so much damage with one swing. But that's where we stand right now. So there is clearly a smugness towards the Yankees. Now, in the Mets, hey, I think most Met fans have a very healthy respect for the Dodgers. They know the Dodgers are favored. They know the Dodgers are very dangerous. But they also have a belief in this Met team. And these games back here are going to be extremely raucous. I don't think there's any question about it. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a fun series and probably a wild series. So they got it even tonight. This game doesn't need a whole lot of analysis. They got the swing from Lindor they needed. They got the start from Minaya they needed. They got the swing from Vientos they needed. And then they got the outs from Diaz late that they needed. And they got the one double play ball that they needed to get Kiki Hernandez from being hero to hitting into a double play in a dangerous spot for a guy who has made a major reputation for himself in the postseason. So the Mets even it up. And now all eyes will turn to the Bronx and to the MetLife Stadium tonight for the Bills and the Jets, which is a fascinating game. Going to be played in heavy, windy conditions and chilling colds in the 40s right now and very windy. And I know with the Yankees, the Judge watch continues until he takes one into the seats, whenever that is. That will continue. He can, if he puts one in the seats tonight, that will quell that for a while. I think that's what he needs in the worst way. Who knows? Maybe he'll get it early tonight, and that would, ease that tension, which has been building and circulating among the Bombers and their fans for quite a bit of time now. So we'll see how that unfolds. So we'll be back later this evening, talk about the Yankees, talk about the Jets. For you Met fans, you got what you needed today. Take a deep breath and get ready for game number 3. And you can sit back and root for or against the Yankees. Root for. You'd like to see a Subway Series, wouldn't you? We'll see you later.